Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a writing VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be working a little bit further on the comic that we've been formulating. So, I still really like how these two panels came out. I don't know, I feel like there's a very good difference in mood between the bloodthirst holding the pen and then just like the nonchalance of letting it fall to the floor. I did a good job with that. These next two panels are going to be not at all challenging, but this third one is going to be. I might have to rework this one quite a bit, depending on the outcomes of the line art and everything. I do have more or less figured out what I want for each of these, though. So let's just hang on. Let's just add a vector layer to this one, and we can just get started on that. I recently discovered the joy of honey tea. I don't know why nobody told me about this stuff earlier. It is crazy good. More than anything, I like that it's very convenient. So I was at a I was like in the import section of the supermarket that I visited, right? And I saw this guy talking to like one of the shop clerks, and my phone died and I didn't have any music to listen to, so of course I had to. If they were talking loud enough, my ass is gonna eavesdrop. That's just something that I'll do casually. And the guy was very clearly looking for something, and the attendant was like, it's here it is." So I was very curious about what he was looking for, and so I just asked him, "Are you looking for something?" And he said, "Yes, I'm looking for honey tea." And then he shows me this jar of what looks to be just like a big thing of honey. I thought it was just like a marmalade or something. And I'm just like, "Oh wow, what is this stuff?" And he's like, "Oh, it's like tea. You just scoop it into hot water, and you can make a tea out of it." I was very intrigued, so I was like, "Oh, wait, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's really good. You should try some." So I did. I went to another nearby aisle to look for some more, and I did try it. I did get some, and I tried some just now. I got myself like this ginger citrus one, and holy shit, it is good stuff. It was much more spicy. The ginger was coming through much more than I expected it to, but like it has little like citrus rinds and everything in it. It's very good. I feel like if I was sick and I drank this stuff, it would be like a Popeye spinach sequence. Like I would start drinking it and I would immediately be able to like kip up and kick flip into the air with 3 rotations. I'd start flexing my bicep and like I don't know, it would be like a small graphic of like a bicycle tire getting inflated until it exploded. I feel like it's been a while. I feel like no other cartoon has done those Popeye sequences like quite like Popeye has. Like no other cartoon has effectively communicated the kind of not necessarily instant, but very much like okay. Have you ever gone for a long time? Like this is purely hypothetical, right? Like have you ever gone for a while without like eating a certain food or eating something that like you normally eat or like you've been missing out on, and then you suddenly eat it, and all of a sudden it's like you can feel your body change, like you can feel your body absorb the nutrients from that food. It's exactly like that. Like I like it is exactly. Hang on, that's the thicken tool. I don't if it's never happened to you, it's very difficult to imagine it. But it's happened to me a couple of times where I'm like, oh my god, oh god, I'm gonna die if I don't eat an entire cucumber. So I eat an entire cucumber, and afterwards I feel amazing. Like sometimes your body just craves something, and you know exactly what it is, and once you get it, your body's like, oh hell yeah. That's what I'm assuming the honey tea is gonna do to me if I'm ever sick and I have some. It will come to me in my hour of need. I assume. I imagine. But yeah, very good stuff. The jar that I got seems to be from Korea. It had Korean writing on it, if nothing else. So I feel like that's a pretty safe assumption. I'm gonna lower the line width just a tiny bit. Hang on, something about this head angle is messing with me. But yeah, that's my recent most life-changing improvement. I've had quite a few of those recently. I've started reorganizing the furniture in my apartment, and that's been going quite swimmingly. I finished yesterday night, and for the first time in like years, I was able to like very easily mop the floor in my apartment. I don't know. It feels like it's been years. It probably hasn't been literal years, but it's been a while since I've been able to. Well, I can confidently say it's the first time this year I was able to do it. Last year, I don't think I managed to mop at all. I don't know. There's something about mopping. I don't do it very often because I imagine it'll damage the floor if I do it too much. But I feel like afterwards it's just squeaky clean. I do feel like the next step in my cleaning journey though is going to be like getting mop shoes. I don't know how else to describe it. Like I need shoes that I only wear when I mop, so that way they never get dirty and never leave behind too much of a print. Because like I was cleaning in like my indoor chanclas, and those were a little bit grody. So whenever I was walking through my contrails of mop water, I would like leave behind little dark suds, and I'd be like, "Oh man, I just got that part." Well, I guess having to redo certain bits of the cleaning definitely beats breaking my neck over wet floor. So, you know, maybe it's not. I should not be complaining. I am wondering how to make the smile happen. I do also think that I need to lower or at least change the angle of this fist. Right now it's a little bit too angular. Like it looks a little bit like he's putting it way too high up. The other day the topic of like Ken Penderson, I think is his name. His art came up in the V's server, and there was like it was this commission that he had done, right, where it was supposed to parody that painting of Lucifer that is like that has a very dramatic look to it, and it was not great. It like the pose especially was difficult to understand how it was done naturally. Hang on, I think I know exactly what I need to do. I didn't go extreme enough on the ankle here. But yeah, ever since then, this is a bad way of learning art. Don't do this if you're trying to learn art properly. But sometimes having an example that's bad enough can remind you to do things properly. Just having somebody who is just so utterly dog shit can occasionally be extremely beneficial for your growth. Just so you understand, oh god, okay, if I ever do that, I need to kill myself. No, that's a bit much. If I ever do that, I need to seriously re-examine my composition. Okay, let's make this like this. Oh, actually, I'm liking that. Okay, make this a little bit wider. And then just shorten. No, keep it wide. Yes, okay. And then we just add a bend here. Yeah, okay, I think this works. This is definitely working much better than it was earlier, if nothing else. Yeah. This is going pretty great. Actually, which I know I definitely added the little collar hook for him. Kind of like how leather jackets have that little top part. I had a little thingy there so you could clasp it closed, but I don't remember which side it was on. Let's take a look at page 1 real quick. Okay, it was the left-hand side. Yeah, no, I need to redo that hand. I'd rather redo it now and spend the time redoing it than just let it bug me forever and ever. Hang on. I need to bring everything closer to my body. I feel like I'm leaning forward way too much. I've been wondering a little bit more about my posture nowadays. I don't know. I think like now I'm like 25 now. I need to start seriously considering the way that I just repose, because I feel like if I don't act cautiously, my body is just going to be. Well, my body isn't great. My body is pretty strong, but it's not invincible. I wouldn't call it bulletproof by any measure of the imagination. And until I can dedicate time to make it bulletproof, which I probably won't anytime soon, although maybe I will, who knows? I don't know. Maybe soon my sense of motivation will get its shit together, and I'll finally start doing an hour and a half of exercise every day, in addition to my other obligations. It's not impossible, but I do find it unlikely. God, I can't stop thinking about this one tweet that I saw where another streamer was like, I've been working out every day for an hour and a half for like the past month, and here are the results. 1, my ass is now fatter. I'm like, okay, I'm liking what I'm hearing. And 2, I don't remember what point 2 was. Point 1 was a big sticking point, though, to me personally. That was the part where I was like, snaps my fingers. Yes, that's what I needed to hear. I don't know. There's things that are worth it, right? There are things that are worth it that you don't want to do. There are things that aren't worth it that you want to do. There are things that are worth it and you want to do. And there are things that aren't worth it and you don't want to do. And I think, like, obviously you need to do the ones that are worth it, even if obviously the ones that are worth it and that you want to do are obviously naturally priority number 1. But it's very difficult to start pursuing that first category of worth it, but not particularly not ones that you particularly want to do. It's very easy if you have something else obligating you, though. Like, if it's part of, like, a greater systemized thing, I feel like those ones that you don't want to do, even if you don't want to do them, you still have structure for them. You still have a method to initiate them. But for the ones that are worth it, that you don't want to do, that you have absolutely no structure for, you are going to be floundering on those until you find that support or that method to motivate yourself. And that can come in the form of finding how to turn it into an obligation. I need to get rid of that thumb. I don't know any stories about people who remove their thumbs, so I can't do my usual bit of like me when I'm such and such. I don't know any stories where people have to remove their thumbs. Probably in one of the Saw movies, that's a plot point, right? Plot point? Did I? Wait. No, hang on. I said a plot point. What's a plot point? my plot, the plot of Saw. God. I think I almost tried to say paw, which means I was trying to say paw point. But what? That's also not a thing. I don't know. I got the feeling I'm gonna sleep pretty well tonight. I've worked enough this weekend that I feel like I will go into this next week probably with a fair amount of tiredness, but I think it was very much all worth it. Yeah, there's also things that where like it is worth it and you are motivated to do it, but also like it's just extremely difficult to find the kind of right opportunity to do it. You know, sometimes you have a hard time kickstarting the task more than anything else. And the problem is that sometimes you ask somebody else to like hound you about it, right? Like other people will tell you to do it because it's a benefit for you, and but like them telling you to do it also demotivates you for some reason. I was like, no, well, now that somebody's told me to do it, I don't want to do it either. It's such an annoying ass problem to have. I genuinely feel like such a weenie whenever it happens. Hopefully one day I'll grow out of it. I've got plenty of time after all. Okay, and there we go. Actually, this song in the BGM reminds me a little bit. So this song is called Pacific Coast Highway in the movies, which makes sense because it is like that phrase is repeated a lot in the song. My dad had this joke where whenever a song repeated a phrase very often, he'd be like, "I wonder what the title of the song is." And like sometimes it's just the chorus, but in other times it is just like the title of the song is repeated way too much. But yeah, this song is by a band called AWOL Nation, and it features Rivers Cuomo of Weezer fame. And I've recently had that motherfucker on my mind quite a bit because I listened to the first time to El Scorcho by Weezer, and it is such a strange song. Like it is not in its particular content matter or anything, but it's the first song in a long time where on first listening to it I was like, man, this sounds like piss in a can. But then I kept listening to it to some reason, and every time I listened to it again I'd be like, wait, is this actually kind of good? But boy, that first listen to El Scorcho was really bad though. I fucking hated my first listen through of El Scorcho. But yeah, it is a very typical subject matter for that kind of, for what I imagine is that era of music, where it's like some sad boy shit about how he wants to date a girl but he doesn't think he's good enough. I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of that kind of music back in the 2000s. Or who knows? Maybe it's still a prevalent genre, and I just don't notice it anymore. I don't know. What do male singers sing about nowadays? Like, obviously, it's still mostly love. That's something that I noticed when I was young, and something that kind of annoyed me, is that 80% of is like a bunch of songs, like a really really high percentage of songs are are about heartbreak, or oh I like this girl, or oh am I wish I was still with this girl, or etc etc. And I found that to be actually kind of annoying. Like I was listening to some stuff and I'm like, wow, this song rocks. And then it's like, oh, but I'm divorced and I miss her every day. And I'm like, this song sucks all of a sudden. I don't want to listen to it no more. Thankfully that's not really much of a problem anymore. We can probably scale him down just a tiny bit more. What is, there's a crazy thick line there. Where did that must have been from where I cut off the jacket sleeve. I see. What the? Oh, that's weird. Don't do that. Did I make the hand too small? I might have made the hand too small. We can fix it little by little, I think. I don't think scaling it up directly is the right choice. Not right away though. Not right away at least. Man, there's one thing that I hope that CSP that Celsius helps or improves in CSP in the future updates that I would be willing to pay money for, by the way, at Celsius devs, is to make the tool for selecting objects, the object selection tool, a little bit less sensitive. Because right now it feels like it's very annoying sometimes to. Sometimes I wish it worked a little bit more like the wand select tool, and I understand why it doesn't. It just wouldn't be convenient if that was the case. But sometimes it is frustrating to use more than anything. Anyway, we're done with the liner for this panel. Maybe we can raise this one a little bit, and then. There we go. Something about that hand is still bugging me. Like, it doesn't look like he's leaning on the hand. I think it's because I'm showing too much palm on the hand. I think that might be it, actually. Also, there's this tiny speck here that I need to get rid of. Hmm. You know what? I think I know how to fix this actually. I don't even need to do that much. Just gotta get rid of the giant schnoz over here. We can make it a regular size schnoz back here. We can probably move this eye just a tiny bit to the left. That's much better. I think that works much better because the face is now closer to the hand. I'm gonna copy and paste this one and then just re-edit the last panel. My ingenious maneuver. Here we go though. Is there still that weird speck on the dust on the bottom left or the bottom right? No. We're fine. There is, however, this odd angularness to the sleeve here. Let me improve that. There we go. Okay. That's the first of the last couple of panels done. Now all that's left is the really hard one. Okay. I might even need to resketch the way that I had this one originally envisioned, actually. That might be a good move. Okay, we can just make a new sketch layer on top of the old one. And we can also do a neat thing where now that I know what the guy is supposed to look like, I can just grab his bust and we can... Still cracking up over the tiny one. Okay. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Okay. Now. Actually, this won't change that much. It's just like the design of the guy that's eating dirt here is gonna be a little bit different. Also, hang on. If I go back... Okay, yeah, no, we're on the right track. I need to be extremely careful so he doesn't end up looking like Peter Griffin Family Guy. Okay, I'm picturing that his forehead is actually pretty high up. Still very much so, very square brows though. Very, like maybe a small crack in the glasses as well. And the little commas on the eyes just to show that he cares. Okay, and then over here. And we are going to give him the big old chibolo. Over here. Maybe a couple scratches here and there as well. Especially on the chin, I think. There we go. And my idea from this first page was to have him have his neck being he's basically pinned to the ground by the giant axe thing that the big one carries around. Although I might have to nix that idea. Yeah, I might move it into it being behind him or something. Like I want it to be in the visible from panel 1, but maybe not to this extent. It's a shame too, because this looks really nice. Just like the scratches on it and everything. I think the other thing that is going to be edited about this panel is the fact that this guy should probably be bigger than Roland. I'm guessing, like my estimate of his size is like fairly big, but not huge. Like Wedge and Cupid are both definitely taller than him. He's probably around the same size as Nai. So with that in mind. This is probably going to be what this looks like. Okay, just shrink that down a little bit. What did his legs look like? Okay, so it's mostly covered by the toga. I need to find some way to like make to raise the hips and also shrink it down. Kind of like this. Hang on, we might have to rework the entire torso back here. Maybe I should have his gigantic hand in the foreground like this. That might help, actually. Okay, and then over here. Okay, I might make this arm just a tiny bit smaller. I think that's not, like, at its current size is a little bit big. It'll also give us a chance to draw more of the joints, which I think is important to just the reader's understanding of what's going on in the panel. Although I'm hoping that with my own skill, I'm able to make it pretty clear what's happening. How did his legs go? Okay, yeah, now I remember. There we go. Maybe his head should be a tiny bit smaller and a little bit higher up. I fear that I may be giving him too big of a dumpy. Okay, then over here. I think this can work. I will say one thing that I do think I maybe overdid in my shopping is I still have. There was a time in my life when I went shopping by foot, and it worked pretty well because I usually only got enough enough supplies for like a week or two, so I could usually carry it pretty well. And because of that, my traps got pretty yoked, right? But that was like years ago now. And I don't have that same kind of muscle strength, but I think my memory still assumes that I do. Like my like way of estimating how much I can carry home still assumes I have that much strength. So I generally kind of just walk on. I just grab what I need in it. And I'm like, oh, I could grab this. Oh, I could grab this. I could grab this. And then it just kind of leads me to me having just huge amounts of tension in my shoulder the rest of the day. Okay. I need to start taking my exercise more seriously. I keep repeating this, but it's like I'm not doing anything. I don't know. I think probably the way that I accomplish that hour and a half of exercise is not just like constant muscle work, it's also like flexibility work to some extent. I don't know, doing an hour and a half of like flexibility work sounds like hell actually. because think about how much time you spend stretching, right? Like how much realistically can you accomplish in just like, so maybe you go 1 day stretches, 1 day muscle, 1 day stretches, 1 day muscle. I think that could work as long as you avoid doing too many areas of either at once. Because if you do too many areas of muscle, you're not going to be able to stretch safely. You're not going to be able to increase your flexibility safely. And if you do too many areas of flexibility, I don't know what the recovery is like for flexibility, but I can't imagine it's particularly forgiving, you know? Yeah, I think increasing it just a tiny bit like that helped a lot. Okay, which panel are we working on? It's this one here. This is perfect too, because I still have the muscle memory of drawing the panel for the first time. But yeah, I'm gonna need to remember to move that huge axe coin thing. Okay, then over here. Right, this was a nose ring. Really, like, just generally speaking, any kind of piercing is bad, but I think a nose ring is especially bad if you're somebody who's expecting to get into a fight regularly to wear. There we go. I do feel like I need to make his head just a tiny bit wider, though. I am gonna give him like a small middle part though. Middle parts are the most villainous hairstyle. This is widely known. So sometimes you have a middle part in spirit, but just not physically. Those especially are the guys you need to watch out for. Okay, and then over here we're gonna have the rest of the fabric just kind of gathering. Perfect. Wait, that's part of the bandage. I can't erase that. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna use a bigger brush for this hand. I'm just gonna start drawing the rest of the body. Normal style. God, I'm still thinking about that, honey tea. There's something very special that happens, right? When you are just randomly shopping and you solicit advice from somebody else, you know, it's a very magical experience. You can't just do it every single time. It has to be very organic. But there's like this very magical feeling of when you just casually meet someone and you ask them like, "Hey, what are you getting?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm getting this." And you are like, "You know what? I'm going to get some too. I'm going to get some too." I don't know, there's something very important about it that I feel like, you know, kind of like how sometimes clipping channels are more popular than like the actual channels that they clip. I think it's like that idea of curation, right? To an extent. Like, you know that this person likes this stuff enough to come out and buy it specifically. You know, they're not just getting it on a whim. And I think that because you know that, you are also motivated to try some. I don't know, it's just really cute. Hmm. Actually, you know what? Which direction does this other toga part go? It's to the left shoulder. And which shoulder is the one that I'm drawing over here? This is the right shoulder. Shoot. Okay. So we're gonna improvise a little bit. Okay, and then over here. And yeah, that actually does still manage to make sense. Okay, and then we go like this. Something about that doesn't feel right. Okay. Let's bump it up to around 12 point for a minute. Just to draw these big meaty hands. Nice, okay. And there we go. And then... there we go. These aren't the best fingers I've ever drawn, but they do communicate the idea of fingerhood enough. What I might do actually is kind of reach over and just adjust the angle of the dangle of the rest of these fingers. Just like that. Make sure the spacing is more even, and then just like this. And then back here, we switch back to 9, and then that's when we... Honestly, that seems pretty good just as a starting point. Okay. Now we can draw the little guy on top. I might actually make the torso part just a tiny bit smaller. Just to really emphasize how much bigger the guy on the bottom is supposed to be. I'm also going to add another button right here. It really is strange. Sometimes you'll just hiccup for no dang reason. Hiccuping has to be like top 10 of the worst among the involuntary reactions of the body. Hiccuping gotta be like bottom 3 minimum. Like, I imagine there's worse ones, but hiccuping has to be up there, definitely. It's not necessarily life-threatening, it's just annoying when it happens. I used to get so scared that I would become one of those people who would like hiccup forever and ever. I think my danger zone for that has passed. You know, at this point, either I'm gonna get it or I'm not gonna get it. You know, it's like I don't have my whole life ahead of me anymore, so to speak. I have a lot still left, but it's not nearly as much, right? Like I wouldn't be sentenced to a full life of hiccuping. You know, I've got a few kilometers on the odometer. I've spent enough time without hiccuping to appreciate how good I have it without hiccuping. You know. Although I would have to quit. Maybe I wouldn't have to quit streaming. I could start doing that TTS thing that certain people do. Although that would be kind of annoying. I don't know. Maybe I could just have a really aggressive attack on my like on those you know, on my audio settings, just so that it stops taking in the hiccups. But then I'd have to do that everywhere. It wouldn't be convenient, but you know, it'd be what it'd be. But yeah, I reckon that if I haven't gotten it by this point, I'm probably just never gonna need to worry about it. And if I do have to worry about it at some point, you know, if I ever do need to end up worrying about it, I'm gonna worry about it when I need to worry about it, not a second sooner. That is my approach to a potential lifetime sentence of hiccuping. Okay, then over there. Okay, and then over here. There we go. Perfect. No, almost perfect. Now it's perfect. I almost want this offhand to be a little bit creepy. So I'm gonna elongate the fingers a little bit. Okay, we need to do a careful operation of the components here, just to make sure that they are all in place properly. It's kind of like building a gunpla kit, except I also make up the parts as I'm clacking them together. It would be really funny if you could eventually just like, if somebody had like some kind of synesthesia thing going on, and they knew that they were drawing well, because like whenever they drew a good line or a line that looked right to them, they could hear like an audible clack, like it was supposed to fit in place like a puzzle piece or like a gun plastic model. Okay, and then this one's gonna go like so. Perfect. I forgot, what kind of design did I give the not pants, they're chaps, I guess. Let's see. Resources. Profiles, here we go. Is this the one? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, yeah, now I remember. Okay, then we just need to finish drawing the chap back here. Nice. Okay. Okay, just rendering out the heel back here. The heel would probably, or like the toe would probably be coming up a little bit further like this. Okay, and then we can add a few small scratches here. We can actually probably advance this part of the shoe a little bit further. Yeah, okay, I think that'll do it for the last panel in terms of the foreground line art that we need to draw. I do spot a tiny little thing that we could probably improve on panel 3. Just the border of this finger, just to bring it out to the very farthest part. That way it looks like the hand is properly sized down there. This also means I can start drawing the speech bubble tails. I think I had a couple of those in the first page. I can just go back and retrieve those. Oh yeah, I guess I also wanted to redraw these couple of panels here. I'll leave that for later. This speech bubble in particular is really funny, just because it's like I completely forgot how to speak. Brother, you're talking. You're the narration. Okay. And then we can just make a really long one for this last speech bubble. Okay. I do kind of want to do something funny with this, so hang on. Let's see, control point, delete control point. So what we are looking for is to make an even number of control points on either side. Alright, and now I get to work my magic. This just helps it look a little bit more like this guy is very clearly in pain. I might also fiddle around with some of the points on the... there's not really much I can do here, actually. Or is there? No, that looks weird. Let's just readjust the sizing on this one. And also give it a inside balloon tail. Okay, that means we can move on to page 4. Although, hang on, no, it doesn't. I missed like a huge chunk back here. Did I give this guy, like, chunkless? No, I gave him, like, crop boots. Or, like, riding boots. But yeah, just having something back here to ensure us that this guy does, in fact, have a lower torso is very valuable. Right on. Now we can move on to page 4. I'm pretty sure. Okay, and this is the part where we can shine a little bit more. Because this is the part where we are going to be able to see more of the other background characters that we made in this one, not this one, in this one here. I am thinking of removing the yellow armbands, or these yellow sections on his arms here. Stretching my wrists. Okay. Moving on to page 4. I can probably combine all of these together. I'm still not sure about the dialogue placement in these last few panels. Maybe putting it a little bit lower. Alright, let us filter Gaussian blur this sucker, as is our prerogative. That might be too much Gaussian blur. That's a little bit too much. You can barely see anything. You can barely see anything. Okay. Let's start with this panel here. This one's probably also going to be one that takes rather a long amount of time. Okay. So let's say... Okay, we gotta close this one out. I think we're good on that. I'm wondering who we should put on each part here. Okay, let's put Nine in the foreground here. The problem with having such a interesting group of characters is that no matter what, the person who's beating them up almost kind of looks bad. Like, you've got an elderly woman, an extremely short person, and... Well, actually, the rest of them look fine to get beaten up. Oops. Who should we put? Okay, let's say Dancer is over on this section. And we can also put Wedge back here. The only guy we can't fit in there exactly is Cupid. Maybe this is before they meet Cupid, actually. Who knows? Not just because there's 5 of them in the gang doesn't mean that all 5 of them need to appear. Or actually, maybe we can save Wedge for this panel here. I still gotta rework the placement of the giant axe money thing. But that might be for another time. I might also increase the pen thickness just a little bit. Okay. Then over here... I'm gonna add some scratches on the gardening gloves. These are mostly for texture reasons. Oh god, once I color these in, I'm gonna have to figure out their color scheme. Oh boy. But yeah, I'm really glad that I found out about like the whole foaming at the mouth effect, because I feel like that it's a very effective way to communicate to that somebody is like completely out of it or like completely out of commission without like having too much blood. Do nose have... Is there such a thing as a nose wrinkle? Hang on. Oh, okay, yeah, no, it generally happens on, like, the bridge of the nose. Right. But, like, the nose itself doesn't wrinkle, right? The nose itself is normally... It generally retains its, suppleness. God, that sounds weird. Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. I don't... Old people hair has like a very specific quality to it that I can't describe succinctly. It's like kind of brittle looking. This was even easier than taking candy from a baby. Not that I would ever do that. I don't know. It doesn't feel great to draw your main guy just beating up an old person, but to be fair, she swung a shovel at him first. I think I added too many mouth wrinkles. I might have her spade back here, just all the way cleaved up. Or wait, did I have that on page 1 as well? Hang on. I'm all over the place with what I put on which page. And yeah, I don't think we need that much detail on the mouth foam. Okay, and then just add something like this. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then we can have Dancer back here. Maybe her precious rifle has been torn asunder. Again, kind of a dickhead move, considering that gun is probably pretty valuable, but again, that's a grenade launcher. Okay, then over here. Yeah, I don't know. With the grenade launchers, it feels like the only surefire way to be outside of their danger zone. The only surefire way to defeat a grenade launcher is to never ever put yourself in the vicinity of one. Which should feel like pretty obvious, logic, but at the same time, I feel like it's probably pretty valuable advice. It's probably valuable advice to somebody. And it is I don't know, it is kind of just how you avoid nastier things nowadays, right? Like it's not always possible to distance yourself from some kind of negative event, right? We all wish we had like the ability to have that agency, but the thing is that shit things just kind of happen sometimes, right? But broadly speaking, you limit the likelihood of that happening to you just by avoiding moving in circles where that thing is very clearly brewing. I cannot help but imagine this kind of like military looking helmet, but with like a giant boot print on it. The second best way to stop a grenade launcher is to immediately kick the person holding it as hard in the head as possible. Okay, then we're just gonna have this tiny part here where it just kind of extends outward. And then back here. That's... I don't know if that looks like a boot print is the thing, or like a footprint. I don't know, maybe I could play around with the shading a little bit more to make it more obvious. Okay, maybe shortening or decreasing the size of this. Perfect. And then we can just start adding that kind of like ziggurat part of the top there. I think it had like 4 parts, right? First, second, third, fourth, and then the top. Okay, yeah, no. Still, getting total party wiped by a cowboy has to be one of the more traumatic events your adventuring party has to go through. I can't imagine it hasn't happened in at least one D&D podcast, but I struggle to think of a situation where that could have occurred. Never underestimate a cowboy. But yeah, I'm gonna say that like during the fight, particularly because of the kick that left the imprint on the helmet like this, I'm guessing a bit of her hair must have slipped out. Hmm. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna put one half of the rifle over here. I mean, I don't know, what would actually be the best way to disable like a breech-loaded weapon like that? It would take a lot of strength to just break it in half, I imagine. Like the solid wood and the metal? Doesn't seem particularly breakable in any sense of the world. In any sense of the word, pardon. There we go. I mean, I don't know. If I Google shotgun snapped in half, would I actually get any results? There's some sawed-off shotgun. But I guess nobody has had, like, the raw... the raw bestial strength to try and, you know, break a Smith & Wesson over their knee. Oh, wait, no, the Smith & Wesson is a pistol, isn't it? I don't think they did shotguns. I recently listened to a history podcast episode on friggin' on the other pistol guy, Samuel Colt, the guy who made those very famous revolvers. And unsurprisingly, he was kind of a tool. First of all, he didn't actually make the gun himself. He had the idea for a gun, and then he paid a proper gunsmith to make the idea real. And even then, he didn't actually pay the gunsmith on time for most of the time. So, you know, very, very typical kind of ideas guy, venture capitalist type of shit. I mean, hang on. China Lake grenade launcher. Wait, no, the China Lake is the one that had the kind of like pump action. So wait, what about the I think it was called the M79 grenade launcher. Yeah, that's the one. If I look for that but broken, is that gonna... No, that... Oh my god. No, 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 this is not... This can't be... Hang on. I want you to... I want you to... Okay, I want you to imagine like the worst idea you could ever have for how to maybe handle or modify a grenade launcher. I want you to picture that in your mind clearly. And now I'm going to show you what they've done to this grenade launcher. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. That is not like a crop of the picture. That is the entire gun. They have sawn off the stock for the stupid ass grenade launcher. This isn't a real gun, by the way. It does seem like this is supposed to be an airsoft gun, which is a big relief. But at the same time, this is like the worst idea I could ever think of. This M79 sawed-off grenade launcher is the mini version of the legendary M79 grenade launcher. The shorter barrel and stock and the folding ladder-style leaf-type rear sight is removed to help maintain better maneuver for a close battle. They've gotten rid of the rear sight. Holy shit. Okay. Full metal build with real wood hand grip. Trigger guard can rotate either to the left or right side by pushing the detent on the front. Oh no. So you can make it so that this doesn't even have a trigger guard. No, no, why would you ever? This is such a terrible idea. Like, obviously, like, thankfully it's not a real thing. It's not like a serviceable, workable gun. But holy shit. Just the thought of it makes me kind of... It's just... Ugh. Not a fun thought experiment. But I did find a picture of what I wanted to see, which was this. So, hang on. I don't know how big I should make the grenade launcher. Especially since I'm playing around with perspective a little bit. I don't know. I feel like I have a poor tendency to overestate the size of the guns that I draw. Okay, and then this is gonna go like this. And then this is gonna go like this. And then there's this part where it's been broken in half. Again, I feel like if you imply at least that you're going to hit somebody with a grenade launcher, or that you're going to use a grenade launcher to at someone else, the least that other person should be allowed to do is break the grenade launcher, and you're not allowed to be mad at them. Like, I feel like it's a perfectly reasonable course of action, personally. This may or may not be a controversial opinion. Okay, and then we can have the. Did I have the thing with the launcher up? Yes, I did. Okay. Hang on. I might take advantage of the ellipse tool. Let's see. Maybe like this? Or maybe even... Hang on. I need to continue exercising these various ideas. No, I think putting it back here is definitely kind of on the bad side of ideas scale. I think what we could do, actually, that would work very well, is to emphasize Nine hair back here, thin that out, and actually thicken the borders of it. So then in that way, and actually we can do a little bit of the same for the part of Dancer's body over here that it is closer to the edge of the camera. Okay, if this is right side up, then this part would be... This part here would be... going like... this. I might need to decrease the pen size, actually. Okay, and then over here. Perfect. Nice, okay. And then the bottom half here. There we go. I'm gonna shrink it back down again. And I'm also going to change its spread just so it's a little bit like this. Yes. Okay. And then over here. I might actually narrow down the circle here. Okay, nice. And then... Yeah, further up we said we'd have wedge. I think for wedge it's more it's going to look a little bit more like she's asleep or something. She's just completely passed out. I have no idea how to make these like blank eyes. I also need to remember that I'm actually trying to add a line here to denote the curvature of the Earth. Yeah, that's good. I'm just gonna let her hair down. I think that's the best option. Yeah, that definitely makes it look the least sinister. It's her right hand that's attached to the giant anchor. Or to the axe, I suppose. Something about... Hang on, I'm trying to figure out how the perspective on the belly would look here. There we go. Wait, how did her apron thing work? The coveralls, I mean. Nope. Let's try that again. Actually, we can decrease the line size just a tiny bit more. Just an eensy teensy tiny bit more. She was wearing like some kind of big old stompy boots. They're not really boots though, they're more like tall shoes. Which sound like boots, but they are completely different things, trust. I'm going to make this chunk of gun also smaller. And further up. Or actually, I don't need to make the whole chunk of gun smaller, I just need to make this front part here. Just significantly smaller. Okay, and then over here. It is kind of funny because the pennies are basically the perfect gang to do like a Princess Bride-esque demonstration of the main character's abilities. You know how like in the Princess Bride they showed that, you know, the Dread Private Roberts, right, was strong enough to subdue Andre the Giant. He was skilled enough with the sword to beat off, not the word I was looking for, defend off defend off Inigo Montoya, and he was also smart enough to outwit the guy that looked a lot like the little bald man from Seinfeld. Possibly the same actor. Hang on, do we know? Let me IMBD this thing. Do we know what the name of the guy... Hang on. The one who was like, you know, Plato, Socrates, the great thinkers? Morons. That guy. Princess Bride IMBD. The good news is that there's only a few main characters, so it's going to be pretty easy to distinguish them. Okay, director, writer, stars. Here we go. Peter Falk was in this thing? Oh, as a grandfather, I see. Andre the Giant and as Fezzik, right? Wallace Shawn. Is this a guy? Oh yeah, that's the guy. Hang on, let's take a look at what else he's been in. Let's see. My Dinner with Andre. I haven't seen that one. The Princess Bride, right? Incredibles. I didn't know he wasn't that. He was in Young Sheldon? Alright. The Good Fight, Amphibia. Oh, Amphibia. I remember hearing about that a lot. Let's see. What else we got in here? The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I feel like I've heard of that one. A lot of cartoons, honestly. Kingdom Hearts 3? Why? Oh, he's like the voice for Rex now. I see. That's kind of cool. Noticing that a lot of these aren't really going above like a 7 or a 6. You know, that's not really his fault. I'm just positing an observation. Toy Story: The Time for what the hell is this? It's a post-Christmas playdate, and the toys have to go up against like fearsome and aggressive new dino toys. Ah, I see. This does not interest me in the slightest. Okay, back to work. But yeah, Vezek. That was the name of the little gnomish looking smart guy of the group. See, the reason that guy's group got TPK'd instead of just knocked out like this is because he did not have like a full party in there, right? If he had the smart guy as himself, he did not have a person kind of like leading the pack. You know, he could have very easily said that I'm just taking that role for myself, but you have to learn how to delegate everything, even leading. Right? That is what top tier managers are able to do. And he was just incapable of that. Actually, there might be a way I can still fit in the axe somewhere in here. Come on. There we go. It's such a fascinating shape that is so simple and yet it's causing me so much trouble. It really is something to be commended. But yeah, this panel came out really well. I'm very happy with it. Although I do see some slight errors. Like right here. There we go. I should also thin up the lines a little bit further up on this gun here. Perfect. Maybe I should have kept page 3 open just so I had a reference for how Roland and Maze were supposed to be put together. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to move that, hang on. We're gonna have to move the copper axe, but thankfully we have enough leeway here to kind of have a reference for where it ought to be. But yeah, nice verticality, nice kind of mix of highs and lows on this panel. I'm very proud of how it's turning out. Okay, increase that just by a tiny bit. Right, and now we can go back to like the 6-point line width. Okay, and then the big moon symbol back here. Okay, and this is going to come up to this left shoulder here. This is actually a good benefit since I don't have to draw as much of the bottom of the body here. Honestly, I'm pretty proud of how it's coming along. His body is too long. I need to shorten that thing up. Hang on. How do I... There we go. Perfect. Or actually, no. I shouldn't keep saying perfect before I know if it's perfect or not. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a sort of manifesting thing. This part needs to go like this, and then this part altogether needs to just move up. I'm gonna move him a little bit to the left. He looks a little bit precarious up there right now. I might also thin out the lines a tiny, tiny bit. I'm very proud of how this first panel is coming along. Honestly, I think I've done a great job. I might just end things here for today, though. I think we've done plenty for one session. We finished off page 3, and we have gotten a good grip on page 4. I think next time we'll be able to finish page 4, probably. Assuming we don't... Yeah, no, these next couple panels, one of them is a close-up of this one here. And the other one is just like a close-up of two hands kind of gripping tightly. This one here might actually cause me some trouble, but the rest of these should just be... It should just be possible to more or less copy and paste this one and just change the expressions around a bit. So I think we should be fine. Alright. But yeah, that should do it for today. I'm just gonna end stream. No, we're raw dogging the finish. Alright, take it easy. Later. Bye.